Okay, so you've brought us something really interesting today. A text that gets into some pretty deep stuff about a spiritual realm and, well, how we might actually create our reality.
Yeah, it's definitely thought-provoking. The listener who shared it was clearly intrigued by this connection it makes.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, our mission really is to unpack what this text is saying, especially its main claim about our own creative power.
Right. So it starts by laying out this concept of a spiritual realm. It's not, a physical place up in the clouds or anything.
More like?
More like an invisible dimension, pure consciousness, energy, infinite potential. It says this is where everything actually starts.
Okay, the starting point.
Yeah.
So the idea is before something becomes like a chair or a tree,
Mm.
it exists there first as an energy or a thought.
Exactly. It uses imagination as a kind of analogy. You know how an idea pops into your head before you actually build something?
Okay, I get that. So this realm is fluid, maybe formless.
Precisely. Formless potential. And this leads to the really big claim that if we align ourselves consciously with this spiritual dimension, we can actually tap into the power that turns thoughts, our intentions, our beliefs, into physical stuff.
Into reality.
Yeah. And it puts it really boldly, you become a living god.
Whoa. Okay, that's a strong
It
statement.
is. And, while the text presents that quite literally, you can imagine people interpreting that in different ways, right?
Sure, like
Right.
deep personal power, or
Yeah.
maybe some might see it as, I don't know, arrogant.
Exactly. There's a spectrum there. But the text itself is pretty direct about it. It builds on this by saying our outer experiences.
What happens to us?
Yeah, the stuff in our lives. It's saying those aren't just random. They're actually materializations, reflections of our inner energy, our visions, the patterns we hold inside.
So what I'm thinking and feeling directly shapes my outside world. That's the idea.
That's the core assertion. It even uses this analogy of, God or infinite intelligence creating the entire universe just from its mind. Pure thought. And then comes what it calls the ultimate revelation, that we as individuals have that same creative ability. On our own scale, of course.
Right. So it's basically saying each person is the god of your world. Is that the phrasing?
That's it. A sovereign force capable of moving that invisible energy, that potential, into actual physical experience.
Does it offer any, support for this idea?
It does. It points to a couple of biblical quotes, Genesis 1.26.
Let us make man in our image and likeness.
Yeah. And also Psalm 82.6, which says, "Ye are all God's children of the Most High."
Okay, familiar verses, but how does the text use them?
Well, it argues these aren't just metaphors or symbolic language. It presents them as literal truths about our inherent nature.
So not like God, but actually extensions of God or the creator?
That seems to be the interpretation, yes.
Oh.
Extensions endowed with the same fundamental power to call things into existence.
Through conscious thought, intention.
Through directing our focus. And it emphasizes this isn't some special skill you learn. It's presented as our birthright, our destiny, even.
Wow. A very empowering message, isn't it?
Definitely. And the text is quite upfront about its purpose for the reader, or listener in our case. It says it's here to help you discover this power and, well, live as a god.
And it claims to offer a blueprint for that, for
Yeah.
effortless manifestation.
It does suggest that, yeah, by aligning with this inner creative force.
So it circles back, really. The text ends with a challenge, and maybe that's where we should leave our listeners to.
What's the challenge?
Can you accept this idea of your own inherent creative power, this deep connection to a spiritual source?
It's a big question to sit with, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it, if that perspective is true, even partly true.
Yeah.
Well, think about personal responsibility. If our inner world really does shape our outer world, how does that shift how we see our ability to change things in our own lives, maybe even, more broadly?
That's definitely something to chew on. It changes the game, potentially.
It really does. Lots to reflect on there.